If you are new, my name is Marin. Welcome to what will hopefully be a day in my teacher life. We'll see how the filming goes. Sometimes things get chaotic and I have to stop like the vlog in the middle of the day. So we'll see how it goes. But it is Friday, April 21st. It's 9:02. The bell's getting ready to ring for the students to come in. I have some things to clean up while they're coming in getting breakfast. If you can see, my back table is like a mess because I was making copies yesterday for my groups. My desk is a mess, so I need to clean that off. So we've got some things to take care of in these next couple of minutes, but it is Friday. We've made it to the end of another week, and we're gonna cross our fingers that it's a good day. I will chat with you later. Hello everyone. The lighting's terrible. I apologize. Fluorescent lights and this outside light is not doing me any favors, but it is lunchtime. It is 12:13. I dropped my kids off, used the restroom. Now I'm back in my classroom. I very much like to just decompress at lunch. So I do not tend to eat in the teacher's lounge. I typically come back to my room, enjoy the peace and quiet, and get set for the afternoon. It's been an eventful morning, to say the least. I had a student who had to be like physically removed from my classroom. So that's always fun to deal with, but for the most part, we are doing okay. We got done what I wanted to get done. So we did our math lesson. We are working on adding to 10. So we've done 8, 9, and 10. Today was a review of all of those, but it was drawing pictures to match the story. So that was math. It's lesson 31 if you use Eureka in module 4. So module 4, lesson 31. So we did that. They got on their Imagine Math for a little while, and then we did our Heggerty, and we did a guided phonics lesson from Tara West. I'll link her whole thing down below, but I've been using that the last week or so. Just to get them doing a little bit more writing, a little bit more thinking about the sounds they hear in words and things like that, because our curriculum really fails with that. And I know that that's something they're going to need to know how to do for first grade. So we are down to like the last 30 something days. So I need to really get them going. So that's what we did. Then we went to the restroom and now they're at lunch. I picked them back up at 12:35. So the afternoon, we're gonna do rotations. I'll pull some small groups. Then they have specials. One thing I haven't talked about is that I am looking to change positions for next year. So I will save that for a little bit later, but I have a second interview for a position that I'm looking at. So I will keep you apprised of how things go, but yes, I am looking to do something different from here on out. I'm kind of finished with the classroom, if I'm going to be honest. There's just a lot going on, a lot we're having to deal with, and since I have the ability to do a different thing, that's what I'm going to try to do. So I'll chat more about that later, but I do have that interview at 2 o'clock. So I will get back on and film a little bit of the remainder of that planned time, because I'm pretty sure I'll have about 20-ish minutes. So yes, I will catch you up on what I'm planning on doing next year at that point. But now I'm going to stop talking and eat some lunch and get ready for the afternoon. I have everything prepped for my groups, so it should hopefully be a decent time. So I will chat with you later. Hello everyone, happy Saturday. So as you can see, I am home. I didn't have a chance to get back on yesterday and close out the vlog at school. There were a couple reasons for this. I mentioned I had an interview during my planned time at 2. That interview went almost the entire length of my planned time. The principal and I were just chatting back and forth. It was like a very sit-down casual interview, which was nice since it wasn't as stressful. She just was kind of asking me some questions, and then she said if anything kind of meandered off track, she would roll with it, and she was fine with it. So it was quite a nice chill interview. So we'll cross our fingers and see what comes of that. But I realized that I have not really talked about my plans moving forward after this year in terms of teaching. So if you have followed my vlogs for the last 2 years, not really the first year I vlogged, that was like exceptional things going on. That was during the bulk of the pandemic. My students had been virtual the majority of the year, and I filmed their return to school from like late March through the end of the year. I believe it was late March, and I filmed a week in my life pretty much every week. So do check those out if you're curious. We were doing hybrid learning, which means I had some students in person, some students virtual at the same time. So that's kind of how my teacher vlogging started. And then I did vlog pretty extensively last year as well. I had a very challenging class last year, so I took you along with that, and now we are into what is essentially the third year of me vlogging. And although I haven't been super consistent this year, I've shared my struggles, shared the struggles of the other teachers in my building. So you've been privy to just the changes in education and the struggles that teachers are dealing with on a daily basis. So all that being said, I have never really talked about my educational background, so I thought I'd go ahead and do that here and then kind of let you know what my plans are moving forward. So I actually started out working as the library assistant in the district that I'm currently in. I have been in that district my entire career. I worked as a library assistant from late 2007 through spring 2012. And during that time, I went and got my master's in library and information science. So I'd always had this goal to be a librarian, and I actually was able to do that after graduating in May of 2012 with my master's. I was hired as a librarian in the district that I am in. But at the end of that year, they downsized the amount of librarians that they had working in the district, and because I was lowest on the totem pole, I was put back into the classroom. So that was some adjustments. It wasn't really what I wanted to do, but I decided to stay in the classroom until I felt like the district kind of figured out their plan for librarians, for lack of a different word, because I didn't want to keep having to go through the switching back and forth from classroom to library, back to classroom, back to library. So I didn't have a lot of faith that they were going to treat librarians with the respect that librarians deserved, and I really did not want to have to keep doing that back and forth. It turns out that they realized their mistake that first year, and in late October, they started opening up library positions again. But at that point, I already had a class of first graders that I was responsible for, and I did not feel right leaving them in the middle of the year. So I didn't go back. And then again, I didn't trust that they were going to kind of leave librarians alone. I feel like that's a position that gets cut a lot in districts, so I just didn't have a lot of faith that they were ready to admit that they needed librarians, one in each building. So I've just been in the classroom, sticking it out. I've enjoyed my time in the classroom. I have taught first, second, and kindergarten. So I have done all of the primary ages except for pre-K, which is not an interest that I have. And at the end of last year, I really started thinking that it was time for me to start trying to move back into the library. I did my STEM certificate last year. I vlogged it. I'll link it up above. And I really had a lot of fun with that. And it really got me thinking about making that return to the library. And this year in the district that I'm still working in, there are a number of library positions open. So this is a sign that this is the right time for me to try to make that switch back. So that's what's been going on. I've been doing a lot of thinking about it, trying to figure out what I want to do. Ultimately, I just feel like I have done my time in the general ed classroom. There's really no other way to put it. I feel like each year has gotten more and more difficult. I'm dealing with more and more extreme behaviors. I have amazing parents this year. I don't want you to think that I'm like knocking anybody down. My parents are amazing, and they are aware that their children have these behaviors, and they are working with me and the school to try to help that. So I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but I do feel like since I have this other avenue I can pursue, that it's time for me to do that. So I'm hopefully going to hear back about my interview either Monday or Tuesday, and then that will kind of determine what happens next, because as I said, there are other library positions open, but they are in the 3 through 5 grade band, which is not really what I want. I'd rather stay with the little ones, the pre-K through 2. So that's kind of where I am. I know this kind of came out of left field, so sorry for that. But again, this has been something I've been thinking about and not necessarily sharing with a lot of people, but that's where we are. So obviously, if that interview goes the way I'm hoping it goes and I'm offered the position, I will let everyone know, and then maybe next year I can film some day in my life as a school librarian videos instead of day in my life as a kindergarten teacher videos. So all of it's going to depend on the outcome of the interview. I felt like it went really well. My principal sat down and talked with me at the end of yesterday, which is also why I didn't get back on and film, because he was in there kind of talking to me about how I thought the interview went. He is being very supportive. He has spoken about me and told the new principal, the hiring principal, how highly he thinks of me. So I couldn't really ask for a better situation. He's being amazing. He knows that I've been wanting to kind of make this switch, and he's been very helpful. So I do want to shout him out because that's been amazing, much better than some experiences I have had in the past with admin. I really do have a great administrator, a great administrative team. So I just want to put that out there because I know it's easy to complain about them, but I want to kind of remind people also that oftentimes building admins' hands are tied because of what they are being told to do from their bosses. And that has definitely been the case this year, but ultimately he has been super supportive of me, of my students, particularly my student who has very extreme explosive behaviors. So I really couldn't ask for more, and the fact that he is willingly helping me out also just means a lot. So that's a very long-winded way of saying that I am looking to change positions for next year. If it happens, I will let you know. If you could send me good vibes, that would be appreciated, and we'll just see what happens. So it's out of my hands at this point, and we'll move on with whatever I need to do next depending on the outcome of the interview. So that's going to bring an end to this day in my teacher life. I know it was kind of brief and quick. I didn't get a ton of filming done. It's very hard to film during school hours. I've talked about that before in previous vlogs. So I hope you enjoyed what I was able to give you. Overall, Friday was a pretty good day. I mentioned I had that student that had to be removed from my room by that same amazing administrator, but the rest of our day really did go quite well. After lunch, we did rotations. We went to specials. That was when I had my interview. We went outside for recess. They came back in. They got on their Imagine Language and Literacy, which we call Blue Robot, and then we went home. So not a shabby way to end the week, and hopefully we can continue those vibes through the remaining weeks of the year, because the end of the year is coming, y'all. Our ABC countdown actually starts this coming Wednesday. So it's almost here. But anyway, yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.